Okay, what we really need to do is raise prices and then apply price hikes for anyone sharing their passwords. That's a good idea. Not enough people are subscribing to HBO Max, so if we can merge that with Discovery...
Good morning, streaming services! Is there any way we can get more people on TV Plus?
What the heck is he talking about? I have no idea. He's crazy. They're charging $5 a month for their service.
I am not opposed to raising the prices on TV Plus if you think that'll help.
Yeah, just raise your prices, Apple. I'm sure we'll all appreciate that.
Alrighty then, and subscriber growth is going well for you guys?
Growth? I haven't heard that word in years, but we actually lost less subscribers than we thought we were going to lose last quarter.
Oh, that seems like quite a bad situation to be in.
Well, how many subscribers have you gained in the last quarter, huh?
I'm sorry, we don't disclose that information in our earnings call.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Good luck over there.
We have won so many Emmy Awards, it's no question.
So, I was thinking of doing another season of Love Island, and then maybe you could do Naked and Afraid. I was thinking of maybe pushing more dating shows, except there's even more naked people, and they're put on an island with strangers they don't know.
This sounds like an awful amount of trash TV.
Tim, you have no idea what sells.
I guess I don't, but let's begin. So there's a lot of things I've been wrong about in the past, and today's subject is basically no exception. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll recall previous videos where I've said that streaming services are still objectively better than cable TV. They're much, much cheaper, they're ad-free, and because they're internet-based, you can watch them on as many devices as you want. As long as you have an internet connection, you could watch these things on planes. So that's why I said that no, streaming services are not as bad as cable TV. But with all of the price hikes and changes to the plans that we've been seeing over the past couple months, I'm actually starting to feel more wrong on that previous statement, and I want to acknowledge when I'm wrong because it's so often, and hopefully I can apply what I've learned in the past and be more pessimistic or at least realistic about predictions in the future, because we've got some price changes to talk about today. So for one, Netflix, which is basically the most common subscription service out there, right up with Amazon Prime as one of the most popular subscription services in the world, they've been raising prices pretty handsomely now with their basic 1080p plan, which only allows for 2 screens costing over $15 a month, and the 4K plan costing $20 a month, and a sub 1080p plan starting at $10 a month. It's already pretty dang bad, but they're not stopping there because Netflix feels like they're missing out on huge revenue streams by not charging people for having their account in multiple locations, and that's why they're testing in a few Latin America countries the concept of charging extra for password sharing. So this means for every person that you share your password with, they're going to increase the subscription price by $3 a month. This is already proving to be very frustrating for the people there because not everybody is just sharing passwords with friends and family, although yes, that is very common. It's also impossible to truly figure out how many people you're sharing the password with because all Netflix can really see on their end is IP data. So sometimes people have a Netflix account logged into one house, but when their kid goes on a trip or something, they want to watch Netflix on the tablet, or when you go on a vacation, you might want to sign into your Netflix accounts at the TV at the Airbnb or at the hotel you're staying at. So when Netflix sees that, they're like, hey, you shared your password with someone. So how can you really verify that it's the same person? And they're already limiting how many screens that can be active and signed in at once. So it's kind of a nightmare, but needless to say, they're trying to crack down on it. And if this trend continues, you may basically have to pay $3 a month for every household that your Netflix account is signed into on top of that $15 or $20 a month subscription. But Netflix has confirmed they're working on a cheaper ad-supported tier. They haven't confirmed how much that tier is going to cost, but they've admitted now that it's not going to have access to all of the content on Netflix. So they're directly going against their previous claims that they would always be ad-free. They used to pride themselves on that, but now they're actually going to have a plan that will still cost money that's likely under $10 a month or maybe around $10 a month. It could replace that standard definition plan. I'm not sure how popular it is, but still expect something between like $8 a month or $10 a month where you don't get to access everything on Netflix and there's commercials, which already sounds like a big nightmare to me, especially if they just like paywall all of the finales of shows. Like you can watch the first 3 episodes of any TV show on Netflix, but after that you gotta pay for a real plan that doesn't have ads or something. So it's getting more expensive by the day, especially with this password sharing thing, but that's not all because the more popular streaming services out there are also getting pretty high price hikes from Disney. So this was a pretty drastic one. I kind of expected from the beginning that Disney Plus was not going to be able to maintain that $6.99 price. It was just way too good to be true. And I bet everybody that paid for the first 3 years up front feels like they got quite the bargain now, because that ended up costing them like under $5 a month. So that was the steal of the century, but now they've announced a $3 a month increase so that the current version of Disney Plus is now going to cost $10.99 a month starting this December, which is quite a big hike considering before it was a $7.99 price. So for 1 year, $6.99, the following year, $7.99. Now we're going up to $10.99 all of a sudden. Pretty drastic jump, but they must feel pretty dang confident that people are hooked enough on the service that they're gonna justify that price hike, and I think for most people, they're probably right. And the sad part about this is simultaneously they are launching a cheaper ad-supported plan at that old legacy pricing of $7.99 a month. So that now means that people that used to be paying $8 a month for Disney Plus are now able to continue paying $8 a month, but there's just gonna be commercials now. So I don't like where this trend is going, because it implies that streaming services are just going to continue to get more expensive, and if you want them to not get more expensive, they're just gonna start putting ads in there. And they also announced a price hike for Hulu as well. Now the premium plan that doesn't have ads is gonna be $14.99 a month, and they're raising the prices of all of those Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus bundles that used to be closer to $12.99 are now gonna be closer to $19.99, and Disney owns all of that, so they have a lot of control over what people are willing to pay for that. And this means that once again, to access the same services as before, you're gonna be either paying more or putting up with more commercials than you did previously. But that's not even the craziest announcement that's been made in more recent history. HBO Max and Discovery are basically owned by Warner Brothers, who has this certain target of reaching several dozen million paid subscribers by 2025, and in order to hit that goal, they've decided to restructure their business and merge Discovery Plus and HBO Max, because I guess HBO Max was not quite getting as many subscribers as they had wanted. I thought the catalog was pretty good, but I do have to admit it was kind of the more pricey of the streaming services out there. Not quite as bad as Netflix, but still, like $14.99 a month. And with all of these competitors now offering a pretty decent catalog, HBO Max felt threatened, but a lot of people are paying for Discovery Plus, which I think is a much better value at around $9.99 for the ad-free version. But I think Warner Brothers was aware of that, and they realized that they can probably justify a lot more people paying more if they merge these services into one service that hasn't been announced yet. Probably going to be something called Warner Brothers Plus, but you're probably going to have to say goodbye to your old HBO Max app and your old Discovery Plus app. Form a new email and password just for Warner Brothers Plus to access any and all of the content that you like on Discovery or HBO Max. But likely because they're trying to hit a certain target with paid subscribers, don't expect this to be super affordable. I think we'll be lucky if this Warner Brothers Plus package ends up costing $14.99 a month, because that's just the price of HBO Max. So it would essentially be like giving all HBO Max subscribers Discovery Plus for free and hoping that they still are more profitable just by requiring everybody who currently pays for Discovery to now also pay an extra $5 a month to acquire HBO content. So because of that big nightmare, I'm expecting it to be more than that. I think it probably will be closer to $17.99 or maybe $20 a month by then. They haven't really given us too much pricing info, but similar to what we've seen with Disney and Netflix now, it's probably likely that there will be like a $20 a month subscription for no ads and maybe a $15 or $12 a month version with ads, which if this trend continues, and part of this may be inflation, but the reality of the situation is all of these services are jumping up in price fairly quickly in the grand scheme of how long they've existed, and that's what's making me think once these services all start stacking up, they really are starting to come close to the price of cable TV. And sure, there's still some advantages like 4K HDR streaming and the fact that you can watch these wherever you have an internet connection, which wasn't really the case with cable TV, but the concept of paying a certain subscription to no longer have to watch ads on television seems to be slowly dwindling away. And I think that we probably should have acknowledged that the industry hasn't changed, in that all of the content that you guys watch on TV, whether it's superhero shows or reality TV or cooking shows and all that, all of those are owned by studios that own the rights to those shows and pay for those shows, pay for the camera people, pay for the editors, and pay for the servers that distribute all of this content and update the apps across all of these different platforms. And it was likely naive of me and all of us to assume that by restructuring away from cable television into a more on-demand, like internet-based content library, that somehow we were gonna all end up paying less. Because ultimately, this industry of camera people, mic people, editors, and distributors all still exists, and they're not not wanting to take a big pay cut, so even if we are moving away from cable TV, they're still going to want to get their money in some way, shape, or form, whether that's through advertising or whether that's through direct paid subscriptions. And I do think that in the next couple years, it's not that big a stretch to imagine more internet providers or more cell phone companies like Apple or Amazon are going to start offering bundles and packages that say, you know, if you subscribe to our service that includes some of our packages, you can get Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and Discovery or Warner Brothers Plus or whatever ends up being called, all included together for a price that's slightly lower than what it would be if you paid for all of them separately. And because people like their Amazon Prime, or because people like their Apple One, or maybe they like their cable internet provider, they're gonna be willing to bundle all of these subscription services together. And I won't be shocked if in the next couple years it starts to become the norm for people to pay, you know, 90 to $100 a month to get all of their cell phone service, home Wi-Fi, home security, and all of their favorite streaming apps bundled into one single subscription. And that essentially brings us back to where we were with cable TV. It's just with a little bit different infrastructure. Instead of having a, you know, cable TV box that you plug in, now you just have internet brought to your house and you stream all of your content on whatever devices you want. It's a bit depressing because I was kind of hoping that cable TV providers like Comcast were the problem and they were the reason that TV was so expensive and had all these ads. But now that so many people are cutting the cord and all of these distributors are starting to figure out what people are moving their money towards, which is streaming services, that's why we're eventually just going back to the old days. And the only advantage is, well, it's in higher resolution and it's in higher dynamic range. You probably get better surround sound now than you did with crappy cable TV, which pretty much was always streaming at 480p and that crap. But I just wanted to take the L on this one and say that because of all these hikes in the prices and because of all these new ad-supported tiers, I was wrong, and I think we are just going to eventually go back to that day where everything is bundled with your internet provider or your cell phone service provider or someone that you pay a lot of money to every single year. So try to fight back if you can. Try to find services that you're not using and cut out those subscriptions and save money if possible, because this really is death by 1,000 cuts. All of these services kind of stack up very quickly on you, and if you're not paying attention to your budget, then you'll find yourself dropping dozens and dozens of dollars each month on things that you probably don't even need or utilize that often anyway. So all of your strategies or all of your thoughts on the streaming wars going on, feel free to let me know what you're thinking down below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you all in the next one.